Hi, Sandy. Thank you so much for being patient. It was my son's 21st birthday and we had all the kids over, so everybody's gone for the evening. So whenever you happen to see this is totally fine. So we're focusing on the brother and sister-in-law, kind of what's happening with their energy. So let's see what's happening with their energy. Oh man. Let's see. There could be some arguments. Definitely could be like some butting heads, clashing egos. Somebody might feel like there's competition. Could also be that like maybe somebody's, just very argumentative. That can definitely happen within families. Let's see, what else do we have going on here? So I feel like, apologies, we've been busy all day. I feel like there is this instance that somebody really needs to trust their instincts and intuition, because it does look like there is some hidden wisdom that's trying to come to the surface. But the problem is it looks like somebody maybe isn't looking at that. So we could have some clashing egos, some rivalry, or some competition, right? Maybe somebody's butting heads. Maybe there's, kind of back and forth arguments about something going on. Again, the High Priestess is always about like hidden wisdom, intuition. Dreams could be really significant for somebody right now, you or them, however it happens to resonate. There's almost like this need to really listen to that inner voice, and it sounds like from your email that the brother is kind of ignoring that. Part of that could be if he's like not sober as often, he may be actually like almost in not like a delusionary state, but like if you're intoxicated constantly, then yes, that can happen. But I feel like Spirit's trying to get his attention. Apologies, trying to get his attention to help recreate the balance in his life. Now, justice can also be that somebody's dealing with courts, contracts, legalities, legal issues, things like that. So we hope that's not the case. Spirit is showing me that somebody might get in a fist fight, or maybe that's happened in the past. So there could be some issues around something like that. Hopefully not. Also, I feel like this is Spirit's way of coming in and trying to reset the balance for them. But he definitely needs some downtime, some rest, recovery. This could also be like he's burnt out. Maybe, his body's had enough of some of this stuff. So could be things like rehab, could be things like needing to medical treatment, anything like that, where it's like Spirit's forcing you to rest if you're not going to just do it on your own. So that's another something that could be going on. All right, so Six of Swords. There is some progress here, okay? So I like that. I do feel like there is this maybe need to get a change of scenery. So if he surrounds himself with people that also, have addictions, apologies, drinking too much, things like that, they could actually be maybe moving. That might be something that he does to kind of get rid of all the stuff that's not good around him. Movement, travel, relocation, getting out of the conflict and competition, the rivalry, the clashing egos, all of the agitation. I feel like that's something that could be changing. Eight of Wands in the reverse. So no communication, bad timing, delays, slowness, frustrations. Somebody may be cutting somebody off, going no contact. So I almost get the sense that somebody's going to give somebody an ultimatum, but I'm not 100% sure what about. Let's see, we have the Empress in reverse. Ooh, could be the wife. Could be that she's kind of over all of the shenanigans. Lots of anxiety, worry, lack of concentration. Maybe somebody is smothering or feeling undesirable. So that could be her energy. And it could be because of, him not meeting certain needs as well. We do have the Death card, unfortunately, in this spread. So I don't usually ever read it as literal, that. And so there's transformation that's going to be taking place within either their relationship or him. So this is an opportunity for him to change. I feel like Spirit is going to give him the wake-up call. Because, you know, it's like if Spirit needs to get your attention, they're going to. If Spirit really wants you to hear a message, they're not going to stop, especially if it's super important, right? They're going to keep going until you get it. That's just kind of how it works. Especially if it's something important, like, okay, you have to quit drinking or this will kill you, sort of deal. Spirit's going to keep going until they get the message through to you, one way or another. They absolutely will. It took me almost dying of alcohol poisoning for me to stop. I was a pretty heavy drinker in my 20s, and so I had gone out with my dad like many other times before. We drank a bunch like many other times before, but this time I woke up like not being able to breathe because I was literally inhaling my own vomit, as disgusting as that is. And I was so completely intoxicated for like literally I felt like I was still drunk 2 days later. I was so sick, and I didn't really drink very much again since. And like I had a few sips tonight, but that was it, because I don't ever want to be that sick again. So I do think he's going through some sort of evolution here, right? So Spirit's going to help to transform something. So that is another way that you can kind of intervene on his behalf. You can ask angels to intervene and, you know, help him get through to him, help him get off the, they're saying get off the sauce, help him get out of the situation he's found himself in, right? You and the sister-in-law can both like rally around prayers, meditation, things like that. Those work. Ask archangels to come in and help assist him in cutting away from all of this stuff. Sometimes what we can't do in the physical, in the spiritual, we're ultra powerful. So that is another way that you could go around that whole thing, like a detour. But I do think that this is going to be like movement somehow. Either somebody's moving, traveling, or relocating. Could be for a job, could be to get away from stressors in their life, things like that, better opportunity. Could be relocating for a job specifically. Oh, so sorry. But moving to greener pastures, hard work paying off. Almost feel like, let's say that he needed like a transplant or something, and he was on the list and he got one. I feel like it would give him like a new lease on life, but they want you to be sober before they're going to do those things, right? So that's the hard part, is you'd have to actually get to that point first. So I do think there's improvements coming for them financially, especially. So if they've been struggling, there are some things that are going to change there. Enough to go around and be charitable to others. Oh, I can't quit yawning, I'm so sorry. So enough to share the wealth, right? To be charitable to others. I feel like there's also this transformation where maybe they didn't feel that way for a long time. Maybe they didn't feel generous. Maybe they didn't have the means to help other people. But something is changing because of like work or moving. And so they're going to have more than enough to go around. So I love that. So that's changing for the better. And they're going to have to be a team at this point. They're going to have to really work hard at being good together, whether that's at work, at home, things like that. So teamwork makes the dream work. I feel like there's some sort of growth in the financial sector for them too. So again, whether it's a new job, whether it's somehow more money coming in, things like that. Spirit's telling me even like disability, like maybe somebody's gonna get disability payments, things like that, and we're rectifying the balance. What was I saying about calling in angels? Literally temperance, right? So Archangel Michael, ask him to come in and sever ties with him and alcohol. What do you got to lose, right? Ask him. He's pretty good at doing stuff like that too. Ask any angel that you feel connected to, come in and help him sever ties. Help him to get sober, help him to heal his body, all of these things, right? You can ask for help. I do feel like there is like the need to reset the balance here, because we have justice and temperance. I feel like he's got to want to change. Okay, that's a big part of getting sober. You have to want to. There is this energy of a reconciliation too. So let's say that somebody has cut someone off. Let's say someone's gone no contact because they're bitter, they're angry about things, right? There's the chance for reconciliation, communication, things like that. But I feel like the brother is the one that's got to accept that he needs to change. And so even though right now he may not want to, I feel like Spirit's kind of on his ass to make him change, like to force him through this, because the Death card is a finality, right? It's like, nope, time's up. It's like, you're going to do this or it's going to be like the end. And so Spirit's going to put him between like a rock and a hard place and give him an ultimatum and be like, now or never, buddy, let's go. And he's going to have to decide. So I feel like Spirit's trying to work on him because we do have Temperance out here. I feel like Spirit is trying to work things out with him. But I do see what you're saying about like he's ignoring the wake-up call. He is. So he's absolutely got to trust his instincts and intuition, because the High Priestess is out here, right? So he's going to have to actually like figure it out. He may be in a place where he doesn't think things can change. That's another reason why I would call in reinforcements in the spiritual. You know, if like he can't see the forest through the trees, he needs other people who can see that to be able to actually help him kind of navigate a path out of all of that stuff. But he is going to go through a major transformation. So it's not always pretty, right? It could be a dark night of the soul, a realization, a wake-up call, a health scare. Any of those things could be coming. Spirit's going to give him what they need to give him in order to get him put back together, because they want him in a balanced situation. And we also have Justice. So hopefully there's no sort of like legal ramifications for any of this stuff. Somebody could be a Libra. We have Pisces, Libra, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Earth sign, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, and a little bit of fire, Aries, Sag, and Leo. So I have a strong suspicion that Spirit is going to rattle his cage, is like the best way I can put it. They're going to test him, and they're going to see if what he says, whatever he's been talking to Spirit about, if he's ready to actually make good on that. And if he's not, they're going to test him. I also feel like you guys need to either, you know, pray, meditate, however you communicate with Spirit, light a candle, and simply say, you know, he's in a position that he can't do this on his own. So for him, can you please intervene so he doesn't harm himself? You know, so he can get sober, so he can get his life figured out, so that he can live instead of potentially not. So I would say that, you know, you and the wife potentially could both put your intentions and prayers and manifestations out there for him to get sober, get his life back on track. I do think that they might be moving. Doesn't mean they're moving super far away, but they may need to like move to get out of the situation that he's in. So maybe he's not tempted. Maybe it's friend groups, maybe it's family, whatever. But they've got to uncover the trigger, okay? And so as somebody who used to drink to literally black out, you have to figure out what the trigger is that makes you want to use that as a coping mechanism. And if you can figure out what that is, and you can find a solution and start to heal from that, all of a sudden you don't need that crutch anymore. It's different for everybody. For me, I was abused in childhood. So then I lost custody of my kids later in life in a shitty divorce. So those were my triggers. Once I figured out how to process through those things, I didn't need the crutch of alcohol anymore. So I don't know what his issue is, why he does what he does, but everybody has at least one that's a trigger. Some of them might be from way back when. Hell, he might not even remember why he ever started doing it. You know, some people just have addictive personalities and tendencies. Some people just really enjoy it and it's hard for them to give up. Whatever the reason is, doesn't necessarily matter. Ask for Spirit to come in and intervene. What do you got to lose? Nothing, right? So ask them to come in and intervene, because I do think there could be a major turnaround for him for the better, but you know, he's got to want it, because what's the old saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink, right? So, yeah, you could, you could send him away to a, I don't know why I want to call it a retreat, not a retreat, a rehab center. You could send him away to go do that. But unless he really wants to get sober and get clean, he's going to resent people who are trying to step in, right? You could force an intervention. It doesn't mean he's ready to do it. Things like that. So if you let spirit move through him, he's not going to know why all of a sudden he wants to do these things, but he's going to do these things, right? So personally, that's what I think, right? Got to communicate these things. Exactly. And now it's in the upright. So speed, travel, results, and communication. I do feel like somebody needs to communicate with spirit urgently and ask them to come and intervene so that no harm comes to him and that he can actually get things situated, right? But we're trapped in this pattern, right? That creates anxiety, overthinking, a lot of worry. So there needs to be some solutions. And I feel like you may have to have, they're telling me a sit down, but there may have to be more than a few people involved to like get the ball rolling. Yep, Temperance again, followed by the 3 of Cups. So I feel like the answer is you need to have spirit intervene at this point. So it doesn't escalate. So it doesn't lead to a final ending that nobody wants because it's too early. And, he missed out on life and things like that and leaves the family heartbroken and devastated. If we ask for spirit's help, we get a celebration, okay? We get good news, parties, friends, family, all that good stuff. So I do think that asking spirit, what's the next step? What do we do? Ask spirit to cut cords for him with alcohol and addictions and anything else that is negative. And pray about it, meditate, however you go about that, because I feel like you're going to get better results. And then you're not the bad guy for trying to intervene. Spirit's going to handle the dirty work. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that may get you a little bit further. The wife as well. Yeah, because otherwise the tower's about to come crashing down. What was I saying? Right? Spirit's going to keep going when it's something really important. Spirit is relentless. They're like a dog with a bone. It's like, nope, you don't get to just brush me off because I'm here to stay. I do feel like, he needs massive change in his life, right? Or, alcoholism will kill people. It's a very big thing. So I feel like he's about to undergo some major changes, right? We know a tower doesn't always come the nicest way possible, so this could be like a major intervention. One of the things I was picking up is that there could be like a fist fight or an altercation of some kind that leads to legal ramifications. Hopefully not. Excuse me. So that would be another way that he may get sober, like if he got incarcerated because he got in, a bar brawl or something crazy. I don't think that's going to happen. However, if it does, that would solidify that he would be mandated by the court to get sober. If he's been in trouble before, they typically consider that like habitual offenses. I had an uncle that was an alcoholic and he had several DUIs, and then he finally rolled his truck one night. Thankfully, no one else was injured or anything, but the court mandated that he go through counseling, and they mandated that he take something called anabuse, which makes you violently ill if you consume alcohol, so that he could get sober. Well, it worked. So there may be some sort of like legal ramification that comes as a result. This is going to help him to rebuild. It's going to give him that wake-up call, the revelation that he needs in order to finally facilitate sobriety, it looks like. So that's good in a sense, right? It doesn't feel good when it's happening, but it is good because it does kind of solve the issue of all of the crap that's been going on. Yeah, so he's going to have a lot of choices to make. Not all of them will be in his hands, I feel like. He is going to have his walls up about all this stuff, right? Because he's hiding wounds. That's really what this stems from. There's some sort of wound, and so he's medicating, covering up the wound. That's what's going on. But if he chooses sobriety, it leads to positive changes, okay? Inheritance, wealth, abundance, right? He actually gets to enjoy life again instead of not missing out on things. But again, he's going to have to make a choice about his future, what he wants, what he's going to do. And part of it, I do feel like they're going to be moving, traveling, or relocating. Again, maybe he has to travel to go get some sort of rehabilitation, medical care, therapy, inpatient, outpatient, whatever. Maybe him and his wife decide where we're at isn't working. We need to move. We need to like get out of, you know, where the triggers are, things like that. So I feel like a lot of things will be changing for him within the next year or so. So if I was you, and I'm not, but if I was you, I would go through spirit to try and get some stuff sorted out. Especially if it's your own blood relative, you know. If it was my brother and I didn't want to watch him go through all these things, you bet your ass I would be 100% asking spirit, like, take this chokehold off of him that alcohol's got on him. You know, if you look up the word alcohol, it's actually said to be like demonic presence, that you're inebriated so spirit can come, you know, and like enter your soul, enter your body. And so some people believe that like if we're open to drinking and drugs and things like that, that other entities can actually come into us. And so a lot of times it's almost like they have to expel that out to get sobriety. So ask spirit to come and intervene. You literally have nothing to lose. Ask spirit to come and remove alcohol from him in the least painful way possible. Ask it to stick. Ask it to, you know, whatever you feel is the most important, but ask spirit to take that away from him. Ask them to give him his sobriety. Ask them to heal his body. Ask them to bring healing to his family, his marriage, whatever. And keep meditating or praying over it on a regular basis until you start to notice some changes. Your intentions really matter. So make sure that, you know, obviously you love your family. So I know that. But make it count, you know, because I want to be 100% wrong on somebody passing away from something like that. I want to be wrong. And I hope I am. I would love nothing more than to be wrong and go, you know what? Good. I'm glad I was wrong on that. Because I don't want anybody to lose their family early in life. So that is my suggestion. It does look like he's about to have a come to Jesus meeting. So that tower moment's going to sting a little bit. But it's a necessary component for him to get his sobriety and get his life back on track. And man, do things improve if he chooses himself. So hope that helps. Have a good rest of your night. And thank you again for your patience.